Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from Parts Unknown. How's everybody doing? Boy, I tell you what, I didn't like that title I had put up, but that's what I had to pull up. It's a horror show going on in Haiti. Deteriorated quite a bit. U.S. embassy's been evacuated. I think that's the fifth U.S. embassy that Biden has had to evacuate. I read on Citizen Free Press. Yeah, things are looking pretty horrible in that area, and they're not looking too good on our turf. But there's light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll get to talking about all that stuff. I was going to put Emma Does the Oscars as my on my thumbnail because the movie she got rewarded for is supposedly so. I'll never watch it, but it is being inculcated in our culture, and we'll talk about that too. A theme about that movie nobody has touched upon, but I'm going to touch upon it. So anyway, how you doing, Diane? Nice to see you. Susie. Marcia Fudge is going to step down. Oh, that's interesting. Goodbye, Miss Fudge. Jersey Joe, how you doing? Damon, how you doing? Yeah, John Cena at the Oscars. That's disgraceful. It's disgusting. Lori, how you doing? Sherry, Ronald, Sandy, Kim, Debbie. Hi, Terry. How you doing? Hi, Nikki. How are you doing? Y'all think about it. Give me a thumbs up when you helps the video to get around. But yeah, I don't know why people would waste their time watching those Oscars. Their viewership has just collapsed since its heyday. Back in 1960, I was watching a podcast where there was 45 million people watch the Oscars back in 1960. And I think their high point was in the 90s for Titanic. And that was, I think 55 million, something like that. Now, I don't know what they're doing. Maybe 12 million, a quarter of the viewership. And as you know, that creep Jimmy Kimmel, he had his 2 cents put in there about Trump. Of course, Trump did put out a funny truth about Kimmel, and I'll go over that. But I got to think of something else to say besides Trump truth something out. That's an awkward thing to say. And, it's almost as awkward saying somebody X'd out something instead of tweeted. So I'll say he teed off. When somebody puts out truth, I'll say they teed off. How's that sound? That sound better? Trump teed off. I teed off. So let's see. Hi, Lori. How you doing? Em, how you doing? Single songwriter. How you doing? Melinda. Nice to see you. Everybody's rolling in. But we get some people in, beef up the audience here, and then we'll discuss some points about all this stuff with Haiti. Did you watch Cuomo? I mean, did I put that? I don't know. I might put that in the title. Tucker Carlson and Cuomo. And, I was watching that. A lot of people were disappointed. Hi, Angela. How you doing? Gloria, how you? And people were like, wow, that was boring. And, it's like they were just talking shop. And it was, oh, my gosh, I watched at least over an hour of it. And sitting here trying to keep from falling asleep. But I think there's a method to that manner of interview, and the people that participated, both of them. They're both C.I.A. right? Hi, Cheshire's Insight. How you doing? And Chris Cuomo didn't even look like himself. Maybe it's the Botox. I don't know. He's definitely been lifting weights, but I think there was a purpose behind that. And I noticed one thing he said. Uh, I don't know if you all caught it, but I'll get into it. Don't we'll get into it, folks. So I also thought I'd take a stroll down memory lane and watched a little bit of Rudy Giuliani from a couple of years back, where he was being interviewed along with Michael Francis. I've talked about him in the past. He was a big shot in the Colombo crime family back in the 80s, early 90s, and his father was a real big shot. Did about 50 years in a joint, lived to about 101 or 2 years old. So anyway, I caught a few interesting things that Giuliani was discussing, especially about the RICO Act, which he helped write, and that confirmed it. I said, I hope I'm not talking out of school saying Giuliani authored or helped author the RICO Act, and I know I'd heard it before, and I heard him say that before, but I went ahead and looked back in my old video archives and watched about an hour of interviewing, and it was interesting, and I think it's got a little hint of what's going on in this super big worldwide operation that's going on right now. I still maintain it is a worldwide international military police operation operating around a RICO framework. And that's what I said in my first videos, and I'm even more convinced. Hi, Doug, how you doing? Nice to see you. B-Dog's here. All right, Rubber Toe, how you doing? New insight, just in time. Pure Blood's here. I wonder if that name is okay. You might have put zeros there. I don't know if that. Do you get any trouble with that name, Pure BLOOD? Because this name I got to be careful of saying. And I would. I don't know how old your account is, but I know a couple of years back, or a year or so back, that word was verboten. So I would think about putting zeros in the instead of O's, and just to keep yourself. I don't think it's causing any problems here though, but just a little word of caution. Hi, Linda Marie, how you doing? Yeah, you're live. Ha ha ha. Yep, I'm live. We're live. It's all live going down right now. So I watched a couple of videos about the Oscars, and I can't really grasp the shallowness with which people talk about, oh yeah, Trump said something about Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel said, isn't it past your jail time? That's supposed to be the big story. I don't think it's a big story at all. Let me see, where is that that Trump put it out? Here it is. No, that's about crooked Joe Biden. But anyway, he talked about George Stephanopoulos, made fun of George Stephanopoulos' name. Trump did. And loser Jimmy Kimmel, get less of a loser and do something about your ratings. And Kimmel read the whole thing on Oscar night. And I watched some videos where I guess people think that's the big story, but it's not. The big story is this disgusting movie that they're praising. I can look the name up. I'm not even sure the name. I don't want to know the name. Don't put the name in the chats. That Emma Stone. What was driving me to say Emma does the Oscars? It's a graphic movie. It's fraught with scenes that are they don't even have the rating X rating anymore. They don't have that anymore. Got rid of it after the death of Jack Valente, or his no longer running the uh, rating systems for the Academy of Motion Pictures. They've done away with it, you know. So somebody goes, you know, they let kids. They don't give a damn how old kids are. Let them in for an hour movie, and they can see it all. They can see it all. So let me see what's going on in the chats before I get to what I'll get to Tucker episode in a minute. Yeah. I'm not going to promote that movie. The only reason I'm mentioning it is Emma Stone won an Oscar. John Cena, yeah, Cheshire's run around naked. Shock value. I mean, people have lowered their moral standards to lower than whale crap, and that's at the bottom of the damn ocean. So I don't know if Kimmel cried last night. Maybe on his show. I don't think he cried at the Oscars. Yeah, Liz Cheney destroying evidence. Well, what was a ritual, Nikki? John Cena? It's a movie that won an Oscar, Lori. I'm not even mentioning the name of it, but it's where Emma Stone won a Oscar for Best Actress, and the movie is very graphic, and they're just inculcating that kind of filth into our culture. Hi, Terry. Let's see. It really disgusts me. Yeah, what they put little kids through nowadays. Yeah, it's already on Hulu. Well, it doesn't mean I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to say it. I don't want, you know, all I'll say, I'll tell you what the plot line is in a minute. I'm sure you all have heard, you know, you guys don't live in a freezer. You get your news, and me not discussing it doesn't mean a thing. I'm just a little peanut channel. And I wish I would have got that. I might have it in here. I have to keep on scrolling through to see if I've got that Trump truth of what he said about creepy Jimmy Kimmel. But Jimmy Kimmel knows his clock is ticking, because he said this is probably going to be my last contract. He said that a couple of days ago, maybe, yeah, sometime last week. He said that, right? And around the same time, you had Robert De Niro. Who was he interviewed with? Bill Maher, who has also said, well, what Robert De Niro was talking about was Trump was going to put everybody in jail like him, okay? And he was warning Bill Maher, he's going to do the same thing to you. And Bill Maher said in the past, I was always afraid Trump would put me in Gitmo. I said a word I shouldn't, but I'll keep on going. So there you got three of them just this last week. Well, just now and last week, three of them that are publicly coming out and discussing their fear of DJT. Why are you all afraid that he's going to put you all in jail? Why? Haven't you been saying he's the criminal? You know, he's just going to just do it because he doesn't like you. Wait a minute. That's what you guys do to us. You want to put us in jail because you don't like us. That's right, B-Dog. Their fear is strong. It's leaking out. Well, let me tell you. The thing about this movie I haven't heard a damn person talk about. And if you haven't heard it either, this point I'm going to make, put a no in the chats. If you have heard it, put a yes in the chats. This thing that I noticed, beside it being full frontal nudity, S3X acts on screen, and lots of it, crappy dialogue. What was the most serious thing about this movie nobody's talked about? It's out on Hulu because it won an Oscar. They don't give Oscars out to movies that haven't been released yet. They don't have that rating anymore, Diane. I just said that they don't have that rating anymore. They don't use that. It's either R or PG-13 on down the line. PG and PG. PG and P. Well, I haven't said what concerns me yet, Rubber Toe. Okay, Rubber Toe said yes. You heard what? No, wait till I say it first, guys. What I'm getting ready to say. You guys are reading my mind. Okay, what is it I'm going to say now? Rubber Toe, you said yes. You've heard this concern. What's my concern? I'm not putting you on the spot. I'm just joking around now because I wanted to say what I noticed first, and then everybody answer. Are you out there? Hi, Andrew. So P3DO. Ha ha. Well, everybody is adult in the movie. Rubber Toe. There's no kids in that movie. Hi, Wayne. I don't get what you're talking about. The plot. The plot. They're showing themselves again, but it's subliminal. It gets in people's brains. It makes things acceptable. And she won an Oscar. And I'll tell you, and I'll quit putting Rubber Toe on the spot. But I think Rubber Toe knows where I'm coming from. The plot of the movie is Emma plays a entity that has a baby's brain, but has the form of a fully grown woman. I guess, hero of the movie wants to fall in love and teach this baby-brained entity with the body of a fully grown woman how to have a relationship. This entity played by Emma Stone engages in hootie tootie, right? And they show all these scenes with all these men. And her lines are like, me like to jump up and down, me enjoy this, me talking like a baby. And engaging in those kinds of acts. But it's supposed to be some kind of love story, some kind of progressive thinker. I don't know what the hell it is. But it's just what Rubber Toe says. P3DO fantasy. Okay? A depiction of assaulting innocence. Have you all heard that theory? Have you all, not a theory, that observation that the Oscars are celebrating the assaulting of an innocent mind? But that's exactly what they're doing in that movie. Is anybody else going to talk about that but me? Tim Pool didn't talk about it. Tucker Carlson hadn't talked about it. Anybody talking about the movie hadn't talked about it. They just say it's stupid or whatever. And of course, the Hollywood say, oh, it's so riveting and so deep and all this kind of crap. It's a fantasy of a sick mind because they don't care about the outside, that it's Emma Stone's body, okay? They care about the theme of the movie, a baby's brain, that they get to inject this kind of filth. Tennessee, how you doing? She won, Debbie, she won Best Actress. Me like to, I won't say. Me want to be good. Goo goo. So it's a follow-up to CUTIE, okay, S movie. Remember that? Were the ones from the third grade, fourth grade, or whatever they were in, were learning how to be burlesque, okay? Yeah, it's disgusting. You're right, Nikki. But that's the theme. A baby's brain in a fully formed woman's figure, and they document all these hijinks with multiple men. Hi, Lone Wolf. And that is supposed to be Oscar material. That's why I was going to make my title, Debbie Does the Oscars, or Emma Does the Oscars. You know what? You catch my drift, because they've gotten down to actual PR and then PO, okay, RN, right? Rhymes with corn. Pappy Tuber said, add to my list of movies I'll never watch, right? But the thing is that they give it these accolades. And, you know, parental blocks on things like Hulu or Netflix or whatever means squat. Nothing is being put out with critics raving about it, Oscar awards, and before they know it, there's not enough bleach to wash that imagery out of your eyes or to cleanse your brain of that kind of evilness. Yeah, Ali remembers the movie I'm talking about, CU and then T's, right? Cute E's, right? I can't say it too much. Yeah, that's the thing. If they know they've done something that's going to get them in big trouble, I'm not allowed to say it, or I can have something bad happen with my channel, right? So I have to say CU and then T's. Put those two together. And that was the name of the movie. Criminal. And they have no talk about the sounds of freedom, right, Roberto? Hi, Arcellus. How are you? Hola. Nice to see you. So let's see who's going to talk about that. When people don't even realize that they're this kind of evilness is being injected, they don't even acknowledge it. They just say, "Oh, it's Emma Stone's lines were not well written and it was boring." Except unless you want to go see those people doing those kinds of acts. They're daring somebody to do something about it. And somebody will do something about it. Like I said, I was watching Giuliani being interviewed with Michael Francis. And he was talking about in the 80s when they wrote the RICO Act. And he said something I found very interesting, a number of things I found interesting. The first one was that he had gone to his higher ups and said, look, well, he was working for the Reagan administration and as an attorney with the Department of Justice. And then he got down to the Southern District of New York as a prosecutor. And he requested 20 guys from the FBI with a particular background. He said nobody had ever thought of before using this particular branch of the FBI that J. Edgar Hoover had started. He wanted every one of them to be the ones that were counter-communism, that infiltrated communist organizations in the country. And he said they were the best. They were the best at planting bugs. They were the best at tailing this semi-international communist organizations. And that's who he wanted to help him when in his takedown of the New York mob, which turned into quite a bit more than just the 5 families in New York. And that reminded me of the interview that I saw with Sammy the Bull Gravano, 2 separate interviews where he discussed Trump, Donald J. Trump. Sammy the Bull Gravano said they wanted to go in, and it was the last clip I played of Gravano. His capos or whatever and bosses wanted to go shake down Donald Trump. And Sammy the Bull said he is surrounded by retired FBI. He was saying this before his arrest and before the rise of John Gotti, when Paul Castellano was the boss of the Genovese family. And back then, Trump was surrounded by retired FBI on his private security. And I played that short clip of Sammy the Bull saying, yeah, we'll go up to Trump and we'll go up the elevator and the doors will open up and a bunch of FBI guys will put the cuffs on us and then we'll be in jail for the next 20 years. Yeah. So back then, Trump had the best of the best as far as the FBI was concerned. And even his own, beyond that, he had private security that was considered amongst the best in the world as far as private security was concerned. So Giuliani pretty much confirmed that The team he put together to take down the mob was very similar to the team that Trump had for his own personal security. Matter of fact, I'm sure they overlapped. I would bet you dollars to donuts they overlapped. The other part was when they tried to corner the concrete business in New York and make all the developers pay 2.5% of all concrete contracts in the city of New York. That was the deal that led to them getting busted. It tied in capos, which are captains, directly into the commission or the top bosses. Anyway, so I found that to be very interesting. This was, like I said, about a 2.5-year-old interview. So the other thing that Giuliani had discussed was RICO laws, how he was writing the RICO laws. And he said, there's a difference between criminals. And he said, I've heard it on wiretaps. I've convicted hundreds of people. And he said, there are some that you can tell they like what they're doing. They want to do it more. There's some you can tell that are involved in crime because that's all they know and they don't want to do the really dirty deeds. Which he considered Michael Francis to be one of those types. But he said, you commit a crime, 3 or 4 guys get together. It's a conspiracy, yeah, but it's just a crime. He said, the way the RICO law is written, and keep in mind who's using RICO right now against Trump. He says, the way the RICO law is written, he said, I know because I helped write it. He said, we use the experience from these FBI guys who were following international criminals dealing with communism, international spies, all that kind of stuff. He said, to formulate this very specific protocols for RICO. You robbed a jewelry store, you robbed a jewelry store. You committed a crime. You conspired with 2 guys. All 3 of you are guilty of robbing that jewelry store. He said, the thing is, when you do something over and over and over again, that's when it falls under the RICO laws. Corrupt Influence and Organizations Act. Influence operations. Well, I found that to be important because they're charging Trump. Fannie Willis is charging Trump under RICO, right? For trying to overturn the election. Well, like Rudy Giuliani said, you robbed a jewelry store, you committed a crime. He hadn't done it. How many elections did he try to interfere with? According to them, 1. But wait a minute. We know that the people we're dealing with, that the people that are pointing their finger at Trump have done it over and over and over again, and they're getting ready to do it again. That's why Giuliani is as calm and cool as a cucumber. Because they're the ones that are subject to the RICO Act, not Trump. And when you get to international RICO, Why do you think Giuliani went to Ukraine and interviewed that prosecutor who they tried to assassinate? Why do you think Giuliani got all the bank records from all these different countries? I'm willing to bet, and I've been saying it and saying it, and I'm sure a lot of you agree with me and probably tired of hearing me saying it, but for new people that are tuning in, like we had some new people last night that were talking with us that didn't used to like Trump. All these non-governmental organizations run by Soros, okay, are going to be tied into Letitia James. They're going to be tied into Fannie Willis. They're going to be tied into Jack Smith. Name it, name it, name it. The judges that we're dealing with, they're going to be guilty under RICO, okay? Conspiring and doing something, committing a crime over and over and over again, even if it's suborning perjury to further a crime or to prevent the discovery of a crime. There's all kinds of stuff where they've stepped over the line. All they have to wave at Trump is a phone call saying, this is how many votes I need. Just get rid of the dead people vote. Just get rid of the illegal alien vote, and I win. Find me the votes that I need. You know what you're doing is illegal. That's what they've got. How much you think Giuliani, and no, not just Giuliani, but hundreds of seasoned FBI investigators and military intelligence that are stitching all this stuff together, the donations, going back at least to Obama. How many of you remember Acorn? When I was watching Obama's first election, the first time he came to office, nowhere in my mind had I entertained the word intel, conspiracy, except deep down knowing that there was some kind of evilness, worldwide octopus that many of us have seen since watching Department of Defense films showing the NAZI octopus. If you remember that, covering the globe, talking about well, conspiracies, communism, and the threat of that. Those films, they quit showing them in the 1950s in schools. But I still had in the back of my mind, and that's what this all gets down to, is that philosophy. It's interchangeable. NAZI and communism, socialism, it's all same suit, different bow tie. So here we have this situation that Giuliani has discussed, and I encourage you guys to watch those interviews. He's not stupid. He's going to sprinkle it out there. He's not going to say, hey, this is what we're working on, but he's going to give definite markers of where he has been successful in the past, taking down organizations just like we're discussing here, everything from the communists to the mafia. And this was 40 years ago. I believe they've been working on this stuff for decades, and they've had Trump involved in some form for decades. I would say since the 1980s. Not a fully formed strategy that we're involved in now. But he was always, I feel Trump was always kept as a card to play by the military and Department of Defense. And this is the way it's shaken out. But with Obama, When he first ran, there was an outfit called Acorn, and they openly violated campaign laws. And it was the first campaign where over $1 billion was spent. Do you all remember that? And there were supposedly $5 and $10 donations coming from God knows where. And you don't have to report nothing. No, if it's only a $5, $10 donation, all this kind of, you don't have to report nothing. Just, oh, it's somebody who threw $5 in the bucket, you know. We were walking around with buckets like they do at the fire department. People drive by in their cars, they stick $5 in, and you know, all this anonymous money. But it was really over and over and over again donations, small donations done by the same entity to get Obama in. Acorn was disbanded because they had violated so many campaign laws. There wasn't anybody with enough pull, push, whatever in the federal government to do anything about it. But it was so obvious that they just thought it best to disband Acorn. What did that turn into, folks? Two entities, BLM and Antifa. They're all the same people, the same ones running the organization. And guess what? It's corrupt. It's an organization. It's a criminal organization. And it's involved in money laundering and election interference, criminal acts. And, you know, we can use the TREASON word, right? But we got to watch the rhythm. So, you know, for people that are just tuning in and just coming on to the program, that's an overview of things to consider where, just like I was talking about the IQ test, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to see. The simple way of saying it is that we're watching a show. Yes, we are watching a show. We're watching a method, a system of waking people up and teaching them what has been the problem with this country and how this country has been infiltrated for decades, and that now is the time and the hour to stop it, reverse it, and make sure it never happens again. You can't do it any other way but a slow process of communicating, tearing down censorship barriers, calming people's minds down to where they'll listen, and their natural common sense will allow them to arrive at a conclusion. Everything I said about Giuliani is spot on. It's all history. It's in the books. Everything I said about the FBI agents, everything I said about Trump cooperating with law enforcement over Epstein way back in 2005 and 2006. To be culminated in during Trump's presidency, how many years later? 12 years later, he has the plea agreement reversed. He fires a cabinet level person involved in an illegal plea deal with Epstein. Top level of the government fired, and Epstein re-arrested. And Ghislaine Maxwell charged and arrested. Just those couple of facts about Giuliani, the mob, communist infiltration under the Hoover administration of the FBI, Trump's affiliation with the FBI, everything I just said about Maxwell and Epstein, the true verifiable history, common sense will tell you that this has been going on for decades and it's coming to a head. Darting around, how you doing? Hi, Wanda, how are you doing? So is what I'm saying make sense to you all? And is it something, hi Garrett, is it something that you can put in your mental hopper to be able to repeat without talking about Jewish laser beams, without talking about things that are these are things that talk about winning an Oscar, and not that award will even survive this. I don't think that will survive. Astro, how you doing? How to pay? Am I really that old? I'm not that old. They say you're as young as you feel. I'm pretty damn old then. Jerry Lee. Yeah, Technocracy. I showed a magazine cover, Technocracy back in the 1930s. I'll put it up on one of my broadcasts. Technocracy. Yeah, Trump had his own intelligence agency. It was very active in the 80s when the RICO Act was being formed. James O'Keefe brought Acorn down. That's exactly right, singer-songwriter. Yeah. Well, he had to be careful what he was saying about around Oprah Cheshire, because she's going to be one that's going to get it. Yeah, I was talking about darting around. I was talking about the Patriot batteries. 3 of them got wiped out, plus 4 Abrams tanks. I was talking about that last night. 4 Abrams tanks. And I saw a video today where they're towing a tank, a prize, and they just refer to it as a tank from the Ukrainian army, but it sure does look like a Abrams to me. They might have captured one intact, because it has those depleted uranium shields on it. Well, the Patriot batteries, I was doing a broadcast last night. I mean, not last night, last year. I meant to say about 8 months ago, that they were pointing out a simple flaw in the Patriot system. It's great for little countries like Israel, and but in a huge expanse like Russia and Ukraine, they use a trajectory, a J trajectory. Some people call it a horseshoe trajectory, but they just take the rocket, they go outside the range, past the battery, have it do a U-turn, and come in behind the battery and wipe it out. And they can't readjust the whole complex to go in the opposite direction of where they think the fire is coming from. So they just do a J trajectory. If you all imagine in your mind a tracing of a missile in a J shape of a J, goes right around behind it. What's my thoughts on Antarctica? Cold. It's cold in Antarctica, and there's no lizards in Antarctica. No, well, where did you hear that from? Hi, Ivan. Where did you hear that from, Nikki, that Mr. T was summoned to Antarctica? Mr. T's the one that does the summoning. Your new roof should be tin. How to pay tin instead of blue. Because tin, if ashes land on it, embers, uh, they don't burn. But if embers land on an asphalt roof, they burn. Let's see. I'm just looking through the chats. Yeah, they were towing a tank, Marilyn. The Russians were towing a tank they caught as a prize, and I had a video of it. Saw a video of it, and it looked to me like to be Abrams. So they destroyed four, and they may have captured one. So they didn't brag about it being an Abrams tank, which is a big deal. The Russians get a intact Abrams tank to go through all the technology. Oh, you like the color? Okay, Altuve. Make sure it's 10. You can paint it any color you want. Yeah, I know he's talking about the dues for freedom. I know. I know. I'm not saying there aren't directed energy weapons, but a bunch of blue-haired, crazy Antifa people are a lot cheaper and a lot less risk. All you got to do is send them gift cards, and they'll run around, start all the fires you want. CUE posts put that up. They put the articles up. Hundreds of names of people who got caught driving around in trucks with gas cans in the back. It's not too bad, Nikki. It helps me go to sleep when I hear rain on a tin roof. Of course, the house I'm talking about, it's got an attic upstairs. It would probably, I don't know, it's not a 10-foot ceiling, but it's a pretty high roof once you open that, go up the steps to the attic. Um, and it's got a widow's walk on top of the house. Have you all ever heard of a widow's walk? Well, cut the money off to the illegals. Use a one for an I for freedom when you use that term ILLEGALs, because the rhythm is going to pick up that word. Like Joe Biden said, you're supposed to say new arrival, but you can use a one instead of an I, or a four for an A, and we will know what you mean, but it won't get the the blue hairs would play cards at Hardee's Astro. Yeah, we got nothing to do all day. Just sit there and keep getting a free soda, suck down that sugar water all day long, and use the free Wi-Fi in the Hardee's, right? Thank you for freedom. Yeah, they use dues, but they, like I said, why risk getting caught? They took a big enough chance when they launched that missile from Hawaii and tried to take out Mr. T. Did you all notice? I didn't bring. I had in my scribbled out notes how Trump talked about Megyn Kelly. Did you all catch that? Now I don't think he meant it literally. Okay. Oh, not Mr. T. Summoned 43. Bush Jr. I'm still looking through the chats to see what we're talking about. But anyway, did you all catch what he said about Megyn Kelly? He said, "Oh, Megyn Kelly, rest in peace." My eyebrows went up. Whoa, whoa. He said, she's pretending to be on my side now. But who can forget what she did to me in that first debate? He was talking about when he saw my debating Joe Biden now. He brought up Megyn Kelly. Oh, rest in peace. She's pretending to be my friend. I guess she's trying to make a living. Oh boy, how humiliating. I didn't know if you all caught that. That's when he expounded on that a little bit. He said 90% of them, the ones who weren't loyal, right? He said how everybody started coming on to my side when we started winning. The phone started ringing. Oh, I've been trying to get a hold of you for so long. I'm glad I got a hold of you. I would like to come to your fundraiser. And Trump's telling them, nah, I don't think we need you there. No. Well, I took up for you. Remember when I did this and did that? And Trump said, no, I don't think you did. I think you were against me. Don't you remember? He said, I got a good memory. He said, 90% of them we won't take back. He said, now I know who the phonies are. The phonies. Fake friend. Let me see. Yeah, fake friends. Yeah, that's what he called Megyn. Nick, you're right. So 90% of them he's not going to take back. And one of them he talked about today, Karl Rove. He'd blown him out of the water. Why does Fox News have Karl Rove on TV? Karl Rove's wife was involved with the Nikki Haley campaign. So he's not forgiving Megyn. He's calling out Karl Rove. He's calling out that goofy pollster, Frank Luntz. Megyn had a trash can next to her. Mr. T doesn't take your calls, David. Well, he's got to get to know you. You know, and one thing, other thing he said during his address the other night, he said if they use their genius for good things, how they could benefit the country, but they use what he's saying there about certain people, that they are smart. In other words, there's no excuse for what they're doing because they are smart. They're choosing to break the law. They're choosing to be creative and very intelligently disrupting the election and violating the law. That's an important distinction from the ones he calls low IQ. If I was in the camp that has been opposing Trump, I would much rather have him talk about me as a low IQ person, because I would have some hope for mercy. But if he said, boy, that mountain man, he is a smart guy, just like he said about Adam Schiff. And Adam Schiff came out, I got that in my title, I might as well bring it up, came out after John Brennan said the same thing. John Brennan on MSNBC said, I think I got the clips that I can play on my next picture show, that they're going to purposely omit things from his intelligence briefings. Oh, you were sick, Diana. Okay, I thought you were talking about Megyn Kelly was being sick. So they're going to purposely withhold stuff. What the morons don't know, they're not going to brief him on anything he doesn't already know. He's getting in briefings. Okay, I still maintain that he's a directly appointed officer, if not a directly appointed commander in chief, and he's up to date on everything happening. And what will be interesting is who is going to give him false intelligence during these intelligence briefings. Their ASSs are going to be in big trouble. We're going to be fleshing out and flushing out the last dregs of the swamp, identifying them. But yeah, I would much rather be considered by Trump to be some dummy that got taken advantage of than somebody that was really in charge of this crap. Because he said it so many times, there's no doubt the biggest threat he sees, he said, is from the inside. I'm just scrolling through here. So anyway, dumb down the intel. Adam Schiff, that's what he was saying. And I didn't even talk about his ripping off the vote from Steve Garvey. And I got a clip of that too, where you see the votes. Garvey had over 100-some thousand votes. The screen flickers for a second, and he drops down to 900-some. And Adam Schiff jumps way up. Like I was saying, election counting votes is an additive process. There's no point in the process where 3 figures or 6 figures worth of votes in the hundreds of thousands are ever subtracted from a candidate. But you're seeing it now, and you saw it during the 2-0 and then 2-0 election. We saw it with our own eyes on CNN, and again during this Adam Schiff, Steve Garvey. But real quick, I didn't put it in my thumbnail, and I might add it. Tucker Carlson's interview with Cuomo. It seemed like they were in a sewing circle, you know. They're just two gals playing bridge and talking shop. It seemed weak, very weak. But I was reading the chats while the interview was being played. And I saw a lady mentioned in the chats because people were making comments. Say, for instance, like Tucker was talking about Ashley, right? And then the other part is Babbitt. And Cuomo said, well, she was charging through a window, and this guy was trying to hold the bars to the door closed, and she charged through. And Tucker said, she was, he laughed and he didn't raise his voice. He said, how about this? You don't shoot girls, okay? 5'5" girls. And they didn't get nasty. They didn't fight. They didn't argue. It was just Cuomo giving this exaggerated description of why Officer BYR and then D, okay, did what he did to Ashley. And the people in the chats were upset, saying, hey, Cuomo's a jerk and blah, blah, blah. And I saw one lady in the chat. She said, can't two people sit down and talk about something without it being vicious? And I'd never seen her name before in the chats. And it dawned on me. Both these two have family ties to C.I.A. They calmly laid out opposing positions that are going to be very interesting to people. From people from both sides will tune in with calm minds and watch. They're going to hear the exaggerated points of Cuomo about Ashley Babbitt. They will see the videos for themselves when the time is right or before, and their common sense will kick in. And I think it will be a point where Chris Cuomo will say, I didn't realize that, Tucker. I didn't see that part of the film. You're right. Because what else did Chris Cuomo discuss during their little sewing circle? He said, no, it was not an insurrection, right? I won't say what the Democrats always call it, a Cialis or a Vigera. But anyway, Chris Cuomo said it himself. He called it a RI and then OT. That is a huge admission from the mainstream media, because he's still a symbol of the mainstream media. His brother still was involved in what happened in New York during the illness, I'll put it that way. And his brother is being investigated about the nursing homes. Very, very serious charges. So what he did was he covered what happened to Ashley. He gave the mainstream media point of view, which was outrageous and exaggerated, but he thinks it's true, supposedly. And Tucker countered with reality that she was unarmed. She was 5'5", weighed 110 pounds. And the thing he left out, I wish he was said, was the guy ambushed her. He was hiding behind a door. He was 15 feet away. She didn't even see him. And he did what he did. But people will see that and figure it out for themselves. But I think the big key was him saying it was a riot, not an insert Viagra, right? He said it was a mob. Cuomo said it was a mob. Tucker said Ashley was not a mob. He said, I know, but there was a mob there. Well, that doesn't mean he's talking about the innocent people. There was a mob. There was a mob of people dressed like Trump supporters. We can all agree on that. There was a mob. There was people committing violent acts. There were people who were breaking the law. There were people who were supporting and insert Cialis, right? The one that happened on November 3rd. So I think there's going to be a future interview after this gets around and percolates and people check out for themselves. Another thing I found out that was very interesting, Cuomo brought up, he said he was injured. Remember I said that term had legal weight? He was talking about how he was portrayed as lying to protect his brother, is why he got fired. He said, my family, my kids, they Google my name, and that's what they see. He said, that's an injury to me. Remember I said my father told me a long time ago, you tell somebody, I think I've been damaged. I've been damaged. That is a legal term because the courts restore you, okay? injury and damage. Cuomo was using it like he's some kind of a victim. And he's been injured. He said there's no way that something like that cannot cause injury. What people said about him, people said he lied to protect his brother, is why he got fired from CNN. Well, Chris Cuomo and every other lackey and flunky in the mainstream media, think about what the hell you all have said about Trump and his family. And you think you've been injured or damaged by that one incident? Being called a liar about one thing? Look at all the crap you guys have thrown at Trump and his supporters. Talk about injury, talk about damages, legal terms that are recoverable. And like Trump said, I quoted him last night. He said every wrong Biden had done can be righted. Okay. And he said every damage can be restored, or something very similar to that. Or let me check my notes, see if I wrote it down or I just did it on top of my head. I can't remember. So something very similar to that. I found it interesting that Cuomo was using those terms. So I think it was an interview that high-level psychological understanding, okay, of how to get two disparate points of view to have a discussion and allow the common sense of the populace, the body politic, if you will. I noticed somebody on NBC was using that term. Did you all notice that? I start using a term people haven't used since the 1800s, the body politic, and somebody on NBC starts using it, act like they're smart like me, and I don't like it. But anyway, they're always going to do that. Let me see. My chat's froze up. So anyway, that's what I think is going on. We got 2C.I.A. operatives because there is the good side, okay, of the force of the C.I. There's good people on there. And that's the side they're working for. Tucker is, and Chris Cuomo is probably doing it because he's been told to. But two people screaming at each other and calling each other names might make for a big audience briefly, but is not going to have a lasting impact on what? The body politic. But a discussion that people can have and say, oh, well, I want to see for myself what happened to Ashley. Chris Cuomo saying she was trying to kick down the doors, and the guy that took her life was holding on to the bars for dear life. Oh, let me see. And what are they going to see? A hand come out from behind a door 15 feet away and pop her right in the neck. And she hadn't got anything in her hand. She's by herself, surrounded by a bunch of, I get in trouble for this word, radicals, okay? radicals. She was stuck around a bunch of people who were a mob, playing out the script that Nancy Pelosi had laid out with her daughter and ABC News producers to create the imagery people saw across the country about Trump supporters. And they used actors and people who wore Trump gear to blame it on Trump. We all know it, but to the new people or people who are coming by to check out this program or find out what's going on with our movement, I'm letting them know that's exactly what happened. We've seen it. We verified it ourselves. We've been watching those videos that have been suppressed for 3 years, and now they're being let out and not being taken down by the algorithm of GOOGLE, because that's what would happen if you put those kind of videos up. I know, because I had my channel taken down because of stuff like that. Now people can start seeing for themselves. All right, folks. Let's see. Let me see what's going on in the chats. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live, so you can be part of the chats in the future. And I got clipped all these articles out. Did you know in Michigan, Nikki, Michigan, 57% of Michigan voters, Dan Scavino posted this, 57% of Michigan voters said they don't think Biden's got enough brains functioning in his head to be president. 57% of Michigan voters say Biden is not mentally capable. Thank you, Nikki, for posting my Buy Me a Coffee link. And I want to thank Tennessee and Bev and Mike for helping sponsor last night's program. And early in the week, Angela helped out, and Gary and Lone Wolf and Wanda and Mike and Bev again, too. Christopher and Miss Mendersue. First part of the week. I appreciate that. Yeah, like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. It helps the rhythm to get around. Dan Scavino also posted a thing where you can sign up for people to take have Joe Biden take a cognitive test. And I'll tell you one more thing in closing. You know our friend Javier Milei? He was on TV. He was on TV and giving an interview. And out of the blue, he pulled a Trump. Remember when Trump fired Comey? Comey didn't know what hit him. He was getting out of an airplane to get in his FBI limousine. Okay, and we had an aerial video. I wish I had that video. Maybe I'll find it somewhere. They've taken that down too. But they had aerial video of Comey going to his limousine and a bunch of suits walking up to him and getting him by the elbows and saying, "No, you're not getting in the FBI limousine. You've been fired, buddy. Come with us." Remember that, folks? Well, Javier Milei did something similar. He fired his labor secretary on live TV, and I got a screenshot of him on TV in Argentina. And he says, quote, "I fired the labor secretary. At this moment, they are notifying him." So the people got to experience executive action live on TV. So that's the way I like to see it, and I hope we'll be seeing some live action, executive action. Ha ha ha. So anyway, folks, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And I'll be broadcasting to you soon. You all have a great night. This is Matt. Oh, don't forget, Her is going to testify tomorrow about what he said about Biden, about Biden's brain being fried. He's going to be in front of the Senate tomorrow at 10 a.m. Washington time. For those of you new to the program, that's Eastern Standard Time. All right, folks, Her, the special prosecutor who said Biden had lost his marbles. So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.